Why a rhino?
Hey, it's CJ!
That's me, CJ the Lego guy. Even with noobs, I'm like, what's with the alligator? And I was like, oh, Cybot's also an alligator, let's go! Oop. Hey everyone, CJ here, hope you're all doing well. And we're back with another M1K related video, and this time we're talking about my overanalysis on the Khaos Reigns DLC story cutscenes from the various trailers that we got from the announcement, Cyrax, Sector, and Noob Saibot trailers. And in this video, I'm going to talk about all the different aspects that I wanted to talk about within all 4 of the trailers, which I'll be breaking it down using timestamps for this very video, in which the first part will be talking about the fatalities and fatal blows, then the action-y fight scenes, and then we'll wrap it up with the most important part of all, my story analysis and theory building for how the DLC story could be mapped out and how all these little exciting parts could be wrapped up together. So join me as we talk about Khaos Reigns. So let's jump right into the video. Here to start us off, we have Sector's Fatality, which it's honestly really cool. I like the Iron Man reference, intentional or not, and well, with her whole like new getup of the power armor, and just look at this like HUD here. It's actually pretty cool, and the fatality itself, it's like oof, big ouch on the loser of the match. But yeah, I can definitely understand the contention that a lot of people have with Sector and Cyrax. Well, with them wanting a more classical fatality, but I feel like this is still pretty cool overall. It's a pretty good way to use the power suits that NetherRealm has decided to now introduce with the characters, and I find that to be cool. Boom! Man, Sector is so cool. Jax is like, hey, I'm here too. Oop! Now, Noobs was pretty cool. It took me by surprise, especially since the fatality includes Saibot running on the floor since he's a shadow into the shadow of the enemy. Oh, that is a crazy idea for a fatality. And, that. Pretty cool. Saibot is so cool looking.
So am I.
You forgot about me. Oop. Now let's move on to part 2, the gameplay segments. So with the Lin Kuei invading the fire temple in order to disrupt the wedding, it seems like we'll be getting lots of fights with the Shaolin monks and of course the other Earthrealm defenders, which is going to be crazy because then this makes me think if whether or not NetherRealm is still going to follow the character per chapter formula, or because Sector and Cyrax are here, are we going to be able to switch between the two? That's going to be pretty interesting. Either that or one of these action scenes is just meant for their debut trailers. We shall see. But most likely, the first chapter will be playing as Cyrax most of the time, given the cutscenes that we'll cover later in part 3. But yeah, it's just crazy to think that Cyrax and Sector are just stomping in here and wrecking everyone's stuff, you know? And it's pretty cool to see if it is true that we're going to be playing as Sector and Cyrax, taking on the different Earthrealm defenders, which is pretty crazy, seeing as though in the main story you never get to fight the heroes. So this is going to be a cool and interesting little gameplay feature that NetherRealm has blessed us with, because quite frankly, in majority of the games, you don't fight any of the heroes at all, so this is a pretty cool surprise if this is going to be true. But hey, if you're hoping for the same thing of being able to switch between multiple characters or all the stuff that I just said, write it down in the comment section down below. And hopefully we can get that in the DLC once it comes out. But oh, did you catch that? Oof. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but geez, having Cyrax do a nut punch on Johnny and that being the fatal blow marker, crazy. But yeah, as soon as we see more gameplay, we also see more stages, as well as new moves for the characters that are already in the roster, both cameo and main character. But it's honestly really cool to see Sector and Cyrax debut new versions of their classic tools, well, with these bombs now being heat-seeking bombs. And then look, it turns into the little propeller thing. And of course, you can't have Cyrax without her net. But these fight scenes like this one in the Deadwoods, which I didn't even notice was the Deadwoods when I first saw this, is most likely later on in the story. This could still be within her chapter, or this could be chapter 2. But that other fight scene must be much later, especially this one against Rain. Seeing as though this seems like a very chaotic place to be, it's most likely in the Chaos Realm or in Chaos Titan Havoc's timeline. Then once we pick up with Sector's gameplay, we see her fighting in the Outworld Palace, which means that at some point, the Cyber Lin Kuei members are going to join our heroes in Outworld during the Crisis event, I guess, against Havoc and his minions. But ooh, look at this new outfit for Chaos Katana. I really like the improvements compared to the previous design, but although I did see the concept art of this suit that makes it way much better than it actually looks, but it's to each their own, I suppose. And then, of course, we can't have fun gameplay without beating on Quan Chi, because you gotta punish that egghead, you know? Oh, and Darius is here too. So that makes me wonder exactly who's gonna show up here. And then, of course, later in the story, once we are in the Chaos Realm, it seems like we'll be fighting a bunch of Havoc's enforcers. Well, with this chaotic version of Ermac, which is crazy. He even has the mask too. So that's a pretty nice addition. And oh boy. Pretty cool stuff. And then we see a fight scene from a cutscene that's probably closer to the end, seeing as though we're now in a more chaotic place of the Chaos Realm, which could probably be Havoc's space of operations. But the most interesting thing is this version of Tanya, who we don't know yet whether or not this is the main timeline Tanya in a brand new and really cool outfit, or if this is meant to be a parallel Tanya that's like the leader of the resistance against Chaos Titan Havoc in this timeline. Who knows, but we'll talk more about her later. But for now, let's talk about the fact that we'll be playing as Sector in a later chapter of the DLC storyline, seeing as though she has to fight Noob, which is gonna be insane and emotional for Sector because, unfortunately, she has to fight the darker version of her Grandmaster, which is gonna be pretty crazy because imagine if you're actually playing as Noob in this chapter, we'll talk more about that later, and you actually have to beat on Sector as Noob. Wild. But yeah, seeing as though Sector's here, that means at some point she joins the heroes, which again, we'll talk more about that later. And speaking of later, after this, looks like we're gonna get the heated rematch between Bi-Han and Kuai Liang. Unfortunately for Kuai Liang, it seems to be Bi-Han's chapter, so sorry, looks like Noob's gonna win this fight. And then here's another one of those scenes where whether or not it's just for the trailer or not, but it's pretty cool to see the destroyed variant of the Fire Temple stage, which is pretty crazy, seeing as though it seems like Noob has a big part in here, especially when he's teaming up with Liu Kang, but then I feel like this Liu Kang fight is just meant for the trailer, but it's still pretty cool to see. Now to the main part of the video, part 3, when we talk about all of the theories and overanalysis that I have on the DLC story structure and the story itself. So let's jump right into part 3. Look at this guy, Drummer Havoc. This is the best and nicest Havoc. The opening scene of the DLC, of course, has to be catching up with Chaos Titan Havoc, who is apparently the leader of this, like, Council of Kang-inspired group of Havocs from the whole Combat verse, I guess? The Council of Havocs? Or the Havoc Council? I don't know. But yeah, these guys are so wild, and some of them are even like Hot Topic shoppers, I bet. After the intro, it's pretty obvious that the first chapter is going to be the marriage of Kuai Liang and Harumi and the Lin Kuei members infiltrating the Fire Temple. But I just have to admire this scene, because look at the high fidelity of all of these characters and these set designs and everything. It looks so amazing. It looks like M1K went from 4K to 5K here. It's also important to note that while Bi-Han is going over the plan to take over the wedding and pretty much sack the Shirai Ryu, clearly Sector's on board with it, but here's when Cyrax starts to show her true colors, that she makes it clear that she's uncomfortable with how savage and violent Bi-Han wants to do this, which is when both he and Sector start to realize the slight slivers of defiance that's building up in Cyrax, which I guess is Cyrax's canon event.
His wedding. No one will respect us. Better to be feared than respected.
Moving on from that, we carry over onto the wedding, which it's very great to see that not only is it at the fire temple, but we also get to see our heroes in the celebration as well. And oh, those wedding outfits are so beautiful. Plus, you know, it's pretty cool to have Kuai Liang's wedding outfit as a skin, so that's pretty cool. But alas, almost like canon events, just like in MK9, anytime our heroes are at the fire temple, something bad's about to happen, such as the infiltration of the Lin Kuei, who they're standing literally outside their door, and oh boy. I like how the trailers make it very much obvious that Sector still retains the ideas of having the Lin Kuei prosper and being the top dog in all of Earthrealm. But what's also interesting here is that given the circumstances of the new characters, it's cool to see Sub-Zero and Sector actually work together in order to do that, even though their intentions are very villainous. Or at least their methods of achieving their goal is villainous. It's pretty cool to see how the Lin Kuei armor suits are working and all the type of antimatter / nanomachine tech that helps them produce all the weapons and stuff, but dang, it's super crazy. And what a field day to test out these new power suits. But yep, with that, the Lin Kuei starts its siege. Ice to beat you. Naturally, as I mentioned before, both Sector and Cyrax join the fray, which makes me question whether or not we'll be playing as both or just as Cyrax, seeing as though this does seem to be her centric chapter if we're still doing the chapter system. But it's kind of confusing with the scenes because then it seems like she's tagging Lin Kuei members when she's a part of the Lin Kuei, unless if this is a later scene or the Shirai Ryu haven't changed their outfits yet. Who knows? We'll see.
You're not doing the Red Wedding. What? Season 3, Episode 9.
At some point after the fighting, we do see that Cyrax begins to show her regret for ever participating in the Lin Kuei's actions, especially now during this attack on the wedding and the fire temple, which Sector definitely notices right away. At some point after everything, either directly after the fighting or after Cyrax manages to escape from Sector, she and Kuai Liang have a little meeting in which they start to berate each other for who is to blame for the beef between them, the Shirai Ryu and the Lin Kuei. But I'm sure that once the truth is revealed, that's when Cyrax joins the heroes. But this facial expression is always so funny, like... Soon enough, almost like the canon event between Sector and Cyrax, while Sector has defected from the Lin Kuei is on the run, Sector's on the move, chasing after her to bring her back, willingly or forcibly. Sooner enough, that's when Sector catches up to Cyrax and debuts the cloaking tech, which, ooh, the particle effects on it look pretty cool, and not gonna lie, very intimidating for Sector, especially now to come up on you like that. Pretty cool. So yeah, the two of them have a fight, and then somehow we get a big gap of story in between these cutscenes, seeing as though we don't know the fate of Cyrax. Well, I guess we do later on, but we don't know the exact fate of this very fight. Because later on, when we catch up with Kuai Liang and the other heroes, the Lin Kuei arrive with all of our heroes in Outworld, seeing as though everyone has to band together and put their differences aside in order to, you know, fight the main villain. Chaos Titan Havoc. He looks so cool! Since this is most likely Sector's chapter, we'll be playing as her, but it's also cool to know the Chameleon might be our assist cameo in this fight, which is pretty cool seeing as though she's using the Jade variant. It's also important to note that it's very crazy the situation that everyone's in, seeing as though there's contention among the heroes, but they and the Lin Kuei operatives know to put everything aside, seeing as though they have to follow the mantra, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which they're fighting a lot of cool chaos variants of other characters, so this whole sequence is going to be quite entertaining to see. Also, why does Chameleon sound like Melina? Is she also voiced by Carrie Walgren? Interesting.
You and Sub-Zero won't earn the Empress's mercy. Once set, her mind doesn't change.
We are not fighting for her mercy. We are fighting for our lives.
Sooner or later, after his henchman is seemingly beaten, in comes Chaos Titan Havoc, who seemingly mops the floor with Liu Kang and the Shaolin monks, which, please, NetherRealm, please don't kill Kung Lao. Please make it that they're just beaten. Let that not be his canon event, please.
When I return, there will be anarchy.
Sector's chapter seemingly comes to an end with Bihan pulling the prideful warrior trope of dashing into danger without a single regard as to their own safety, which is a pretty cool moment and stuff, but I thought it was kind of funny just for him to be like, I have no intention to figure out any consequence of my actions by jumping in there just because I want to fight him. What is that? Saiyan pride? But yeah, pretty crazy that Sector has to see one of, if not the most important person in her life, just be gone, which is going to be more unfortunate when they reunite later. To be fair, this is going to be one dope scene when we carry over to Bihan in the Chaos Realm place, essentially where all the Havocs are, and this place looks so incredibly cool, and just Bihan standing there like accepting, yep, I'm going to die because I jumped in here, but I'm going to go out fighting because this is Mortal Kombat. And he looks so cool here. Like, this is probably his most badass moment in this timeline as Bihan. And plus, the delivery and the line in this scene. Woo, look at his eyes.
Are you ready?
I hope you are fond of chaos.
Thusly, unfortunately for Bihan, he gets captured, seeing as though he was beaten. But he's also here captured with main timeline Geras or a different Geras. We'll see, but soon enough, oh boy, it's gonna be rough to see the torture and transformation of Bihan into Noob Saibot, because Havoc is a little bit crazy, and he will definitely use the most savage ways to do that. But I wonder what he's doing with Geras. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. This is not only the time when we transition to the next chapter, which seems like another Sector chapter, seeing as though she's the main focus of these scenes, seeing as though she's joining the heroes in her reluctant mission to enter the Chaos Realm timeline place in order to save Bihan, potentially at least, which she doesn't know that. But seeing the atmosphere of this new world, it's pretty crazy. Also, it's pretty funny, and I can't wait to see the reason why Johnny has this new outfit on, but it's nice that he's a part of the team to take on the Chaos Realm.
Welcome to the party, baby doll. What's your name?
Call me Sector.
I'll call you anytime you want.
Not only is it going to be cool to take on all these different chaotic variants of characters, but the most important one, or at least the most intriguing one to me, is Chaos Ermac. Not because of the way that they look, about how cool they are with their full garb, the colors, and the mask on, but more importantly, is it just me, or does the voice sound different for this character? Is it intentionally supposed to be different, or is it still Jameson Price, just with a different voice direction? Let me know down in the comments, because check this out.
We seek chaos. You defend order.
What you think? Is it another host body or another host inside of the body? Ooh. After beating up some more of the chaotic variants in the different various locations, it seems like Bihan's gonna pull up with his own squad of, hopefully, the strongest chaotic variants in the group. It seems as though after some time, our heroes make it to the inner sanctum, I suppose you could say, or the more deeper parts of this chaotic chaos realm area with this possibly parallel universe Tanya, who is probably the leader of the resistance fighting against Chaos Titan Havoc, if this is the Tanya from this timeline. But this is also most likely where they're gonna have us play as Noob for his chapter, which is gonna be so awesome because Noob has never been playable in any of the prior game story modes, so this is gonna be super awesome.
The future is chaos. All must embrace chaos to help you on your way. Those who oppose anarchy, who revere order, will be eliminated.
You sound like Bihan.
Embrace chaos. He perfected me.
It's gonna be super crazy once we actually get to first, before playing as Noob, fight against his squad of Chaos variants. What with the almost Revenant-looking Raiden, Dark Raiden. We have Mohawk Johnny, but different from the Carrot Johnny that we know and love. We see a chaotic version of Rain and of Kung Lao, so we're gonna fight the chaotic Shaolin monks, along with Noob Saibot. It's super duper crushing that Sector is going to be one of the first characters to find out that Bihan is now Noob Saibot. It's going to be so heartbreaking, especially, you know, for the ship that is now Bihan and Sector. Begs the question if she's still going to do the whole Lin Kuei reformation the same as the prior Sector, or she's going to do it differently and better in an actual good way, you know? Now, this is most likely the part in the story where his chapter fully begins, and this is when Noob becomes playable, seeing as though he strolls up against all of our heroes who figure out, I'm assuming, that this is Bihan. But seeing as though Noob is about to confront Tanya and Sector first, maybe Sector will be Tanya's assist character, and it'll be pretty cool to see more about this parallel, not parallel Tanya, just before, you know, the fight that we're truly waiting for if we're playing as Noob.
Your new attire suits you. It is as black as your heart.
Watch and learn, Kuai Liang.
Tell me, how do we escape this crisis?
Oh yeah, this is gonna be the fight of the DLC because, ooh boy, not only do we get the classic rivalry between Sub-Zero and Scorpion, Bihan and Kuai Liang, we finally get Scorpion versus Noob. And this is going to be so incredible because now, in this timeline, we get all of that rivalry down into one package. Kuai Liang Scorpion versus Bihan Noob. Let's go. But oh man, this fight, especially when Scorpion throws his spear, he's like, get over here. And then Noob gets impaled in his arm. He's like, ouch. But it was all according to plan because as soon as I thought that Scorpion was going to say, get over here and pull Noob, all of a sudden Saibot comes up. He's like, nah, I got you. And then Noob just does a jump flip and then kicks him. And he's like, I'm over here now. Oh, this fight is going to be so incredible. And if this truly means that Noob has a playable chapter, then that means that he finally gets a W over Kuai Liang. That, and he gets his revenge after losing in the first fight in the base game, which is pretty funny, but also pretty cool.
This is what you are meant to do.
I am not allowed to desire a different future.
Your desires, it is your methods for achieving them.
What? Noob Saibot being a heroic character? What? This is a very interesting conversation between him and Liu Kang, seeing as though, let's take it on one side each. So for Noob, it's very crazy that he just feels like he was dealt the wrong hand in life, and so he felt that he needed to crawl up to the top by whatever means necessary in order to achieve his goals, to feel satisfied with his own life, which is crazy seeing as though he allowed himself to be swallowed up in all this chaos by the deranged Havoc, which led him to him being a wraith right now, which is why he has a retort with Liu Kang. But this Liu Kang is not only the creator of the universe, but he was there in MK9. He witnessed how Bihan in that timeline could have had a fighting chance and had great potential to become a great hero when Raiden offered him the chance to do so by not killing Scorpion back in their match in MK9. But we all know what happened there. But yeah, this is a crazy little thing that because Liu Kang has known that, that's why he's telling him now that although like your methods of doing things is the terrible thing, you can still become a hero and do great things. Just, you know, stop being such a jerk, Bihan. But yeah, this is crazy that although he's not going to be like a pure heroic character, he's still going to achieve his own means after the story. But this is again one of those the enemy of my enemy is my friend thing. And just like in, I believe it was chapter 10, I don't remember which one, but like when the Deadly Alliance helped the heroes in the first game or in the base game, it's just like that where Noob's like, okay, I can see that we need to help each other defeat this guy, and after that, then we're gonna fight each other again. It's gonna be so cool to see this story play out of Noob helping out the heroes. This is gonna be so awesome. I didn't catch this until I was editing the video, but yo, you get to fight chaotic versions of this, I was gonna say cyborgs, but of the, what are they even called? Chaotic versions of Sector and Cyrax, which is pretty crazy because from afar, I thought, oh, yo, it's Sub-Zero and Cyber Smoke. But then I realized, oh no, it's just chaotic versions of those two, seeing as though they have the green, a little bit of the red, and of course the mohawks as well. They gave the robots mohawks. That's funny. But yeah, it's still pretty cool though. Two cyborgs against Noob and Saibot, which makes me feel like, is Saibot a representation of the the brotherly love Bihan has always wanted. I like that when helping to fight off all the other chaotic variants. Noob saw a Kuai Liang variant and is like, mine! Classic Vegeta move. Also, it seems like I've made a mistake seeing as though this variant that Noob just fatality'd is actually a Bihan Sub-Zero variant, which is funny because it makes this fight funnier because Noob's like,
there's no one that can beat Sub-Zero except for me, even though I'm not Sub-Zero. There can only be one Beyond.
that seems like a classic thing that he would do. And then Cybot would hype him up being like,
Yeah, there can only be one Beyond right now, and that's us.
it's gonna be super crazy playing as Noob, taking out all these chaos variants and stuff, and especially the fact that there's cool variants, like there's a Takeda here, which is gonna be super cool, and then of course he's fighting Garrus as well, and pretty funny that Noob finally gets his revenge on both variants of him and Kuai Liang, seeing as though he gave a back massage to a chaotic Kuai Liang variant. I can safely assume, or at least I would like to safely assume, that after Noob's potential chapter, that we'll be reaching the final chapter in which we finally take on chaotic God and Titan Havoc, which is pretty crazy seeing as though I would like to believe that he also kept some chaotic variants behind as his personal bodyguard, like this chaotic version of Kenshi and Takeda, which is going to be kind of cool if he actually does that, but if not, that's fine too. But he has some crazy magic that I'm sure we're going to dive into once we get through the chapters. And of course, seeing as though it's going to be the final battle, I would like to assume, I would hope that all the heroes are here, and especially, of course, Liu Kang has to be here too. But we'll see by the end of the story who's going to survive the DLC storyline or not, because I feel like what made the base game so interesting was that there was hardly any heroic deaths, which is surprising for Mortal Kombat. So seeing as though this DLC is supposed to be like such a crazy story, I feel like there's gonna be more than one or two people that are gonna die, and Liu Kang's definitely on that list, but we'll just have to wait and see. Please leave Kung Lao and Raiden alone. This is gonna be one of the biggest questions that I'm looking forward to knowing the answer to. What are the Kamidogu in this new timeline, and what is the purpose of them, and how do they work? Seeing as though in the OG timeline, they were a bunch of like trophy looking things that represented each realm, which when merged together would bring back the one being. And each Kamidogu had the symbol of the realm that they belonged to. We don't talk about the MKX version of the Kamidogu or MK Onslaught. Sorry, Onslaught. But yeah, these Kamidogus now seem like a very interesting thing, seeing as though we don't really know much about the other realms in this timeline. Like, what did Liu Kang do, and what are these, and why did Liu Kang make them in this timeline? But the interesting factor of these Kamidogu is that they are very much reminiscent of the Infinity Stones in the MCU and Marvel Comics, which is pretty funny, seeing as though MK is also doing the multiverse stuff. But hey, you know, it's a trend, it's a trend. But yeah, these look really cool, and I'm so fascinated by the color scheming of it, whether or not they are supposed to represent the other realms or not, who knows, or they're supposed to be different powers. But the fact that Chaos, Titan, God, Havoc has them, that's big trouble for everyone. I wonder if it's exactly gonna be like that instead of him wanting to bring the one being or merge the realms, he's actually just gonna use them to actually like spread chaos among the realms. And now that he's a Titan, maybe he was using Garrus to try to get access to Liu Kang's hourglass, so that way he has two of them and use their combined powers to plague the combat verse with chaos. Ooh, that'll be exciting to see. Exactly, what is his plan? What is he doing with all these things? It's gonna be super, super cool, but I'm gonna lose it if Raiden looks at Liu Kang and says, Lord Liu Kang, I don't feel so good.
And I choose to bless all beings everywhere with anarchy. There will be blood.
It's gonna be so crazy to play as all the other heroes taking on Havoc, which is gonna be insane. And plus, you can tell that all the other heroes are gonna join in, seeing as though Saisat's here. No, please, don't tell me Saisat's gonna die. No, Onaga. Or unless if he's going to become Onaga in the next game because he has to revive himself. Anyways. Yep, that's pretty much Chaos Titan Lord Havoc. And it's gonna be so cool. And it looks like here he's about to do his like Endgame, that typical thing where the mega maniacal villain's like, you're too late, heroes, I've already activated my doomsday thingy. So it's gonna be crazy cool to see if this is gonna be right before the final battle, like this is the last cutscene thing before you engage the last fight, or if this is like when you fought Chronica and you lose, you get like a game over screen, and this is the game over screen where Havoc wins. Oh, man, this game is gonna be so cool. The story's gonna be so exciting. Can't wait to see the good and bad changes, or just cool things overall. Oop. And so yeah, that wraps up this very long and strenuous video to get through, and that's all my thoughts and theories on Mortal Kombat Khaos Reigns DLC story and all of its stuff that it has to offer. It's going to be very exciting once everything's finally out. I believe in 10 days, less than 10 days probably, just to see how the story is going to continue, what kind of leads were going to be carried over into M2K, and then all the little surprises that's going to happen in this DLC. But who knows? What do you think? Is it gonna be just as good in terms of story mode, story stuff as the base game, or is it gonna be as divisive as MK11 and its DLC storyline too? And plus, whether or not you agree with me, or you have your own theories or your own comments about the game story ideas, mechanics, and plot sequences and events, please do let me know down in the comment section down below, for I love to hear from all of you. And let's keep the buzz going, as certain amount of hype is starting to build up as we are anticipating the release of the DLC storyline. But with that, I'm CJ. I hope you all continue to have a great day, and I'll catch you guys next time, especially for the next Mortal Kombat video, and now with Khaos Reigns. But with that, catch you all in the next video. Bye-bye for now. Eat over there!